Okay, take two. We're back. No one heard you that time.
I muted my mic.
There you go.
Nice.
Okay, take two. We apologize for those who tuned in for the first 20 minutes of propaganda from Brent and I, as we were not on air with the sound, but now we're back on air. If you can hear us, just nod on towards your computer screen or your iPhone or smartphone out there.
We can't see them, Mo.
I know. Anyway, welcome to the Calling the Audible for Div V. I am Mo Khan, replacing Pete Delarizi, who is away on his graduation, I believe, or he's doing something graduation related. Brent Bakken, as always, here for the usual banter from himself, and of course, Hunger Games to my right. Hello, Hunger Games. Hello, Brent.
Hello, good sir.
Yeah, you're mute again, aren't you?
Oh, hello.
Excellent. All right, that's enough of you. All right, Brent, let's dive into it. Let's talk about the week that was. We'll recap that week. We'll talk about the 3-0s, who's left in the 3-0 bracket, who we like, who we dislike, who can fall from the wayside, who can pull away from the pack, and perhaps maybe one or both finalists might be from the same group. We'll talk about buy or sell. Are we buying, selling the 2-1 teams that are left right now? We'll talk about who right now Brent believes is the quarterback of the year and receiver of the year. And we'll start off, or we'll kick off with the week that was in week 3. We'll go with the first game on the docket, Spartans losing to Super Troopers 24-20, albeit though, to add insult to injury, Spartans come away very wounded.
Yeah, obviously, Alex Bissett's going to be a huge loss for the Spartans. He went down early in the game. He made a bit of an impact for when he was actually in the lineup. He had 3 catches for 21 yards, but he little knee-on-knee incident, basically, with a defender from the Super Troopers. So it looks like he's going to be gone. He's saying for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm thinking it's probably going to be a little bit longer than that. As I said before, through muted lips, that he couldn't put any weight on his leg. His leg was heavily taped, heavily bandaged, and full of ice throughout the remainder of the first half that he was out, and obviously the second half as well. And talking to James Dandria today, he says the injury, he thinks it looks better than they initially feared, but he's not really sure exactly when he'll be back.
I guess he went through WebMD to get their prognosis, right? Well, look, I think for the Spartans, and of course, losing by 4, you know them very well. I know them very well. I've ripped them numerous times on past podcasts with Pete Delarizi. This is a big loss for them. There's no ifs or buts about that, Brent. And now I think for James Dandry, he's got to learn how to, I guess, diversify from the deep ball, work on the short game, which is sort of like, you know, a kid eating vegetables. They never do. And I think for them, the key, in my opinion, will be their snapper, Daniel Castavano, will have to be the key to get that snap in efficient time to have that, you know, comfort level to get that ball off with ease and no trepidation in his throws. And I wonder who's going to replace him, though.
Well, definitely speaking to your point about the snap, I mean, any quarterback in this league will tell you having a good snap, especially since they're all out of the shotgun, is going to be key. But to answer your second question in terms of who's going to have to step up, I'm looking no further than guys like Daniel Hernandez and Dale Messi. Those are 2 of the deep ball threats who you had just mentioned. They're going to have to kind of tone down their game a little bit, especially Messi, who's about 6'3", 6'4", has his long reach. He's used best when getting jump balls that are thrown deep or jump balls in the end zone. And those guys are going to have to work the underneath game and pick up a bit of the slack that Alex Bissett does, because as we both know, Alex Bissett, he could obviously get the long ball, but he could take a 5-yard hook and take it to the house at any given play. And another guy who I want to look at as well is his brother, the rookie Samuel Bissett. He's had a couple of games now where I've watched him. His hands aren't the greatest. Let's say out of 5 passes, he might drop 1, maybe 2. But he does have that Bissett speed, so if he gets the ball in his hands, if he catches it, I should say, he can maybe take a long play as well. So we're going to have to see how this offense evolves over the rest of the season, especially considering that right now they're without their best weapon.
Well, on the flip side, you look at Super Troopers, they win, of course, by 4 points. They're no slouch themselves. They've improved vastly from where they were last spring to where they are now. And Zach Zwern, whether you have Gab Wiseman, this is a team that has played balanced football on both sides. What do you take away from their point of view in this victory over the Spartans?
Well, it's the third game and the third different quarterback. I believe it was Adam Bradshaw who was throwing for them in their victory over the Spartans. He was able to move the ball a bit. It wasn't always the prettiest of throws, but he was able to move the chains, and they had a really good second half where they put up 18 points, considering they only had put up 6 in the first half against the Spartans. So their ability to move the ball, and I think they get their starting quarterback Gabriel Wiseman back. I think he's gone for 1 more week, and he makes his return, so that'll be a huge boost for that team. But again, getting their first win of the season after starting off 0-2, they were in all their games But getting that huge win over a favorite Spartans team is huge going forward.
Well, I think it'll be huge to get back Wiseman, not only for the quarterback position, but also for the defensive side of things. He calms things down. He's the back end, the linchpin of the whole process, and you bring him back into the fold. It would definitely give that defense the flexibility to play different coverages moving forward. Next game on the docket, Brenda, as we recap the week that was in the Division East sector. Your team, Striking Samurais, with a close win over WDS, winning 20-19. Some guy, I don't know if Chapman's ever heard of this guy. Brent Bakken had a touchdown grab.
I've heard of Brent.
It's pretty good looking. I tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so Brent Bakken had a touchdown grab in the game here. Kevin Marcel, 3 TDs, 11 for 20 for 159. Alex DeLille, 19 of 29 for 137, 3 TDs, 1 INT. You were in the game. What did you take away from this victory from your side of things, and from the losing side, what can they take away in this match moving ahead?
Well, takeaway, actually, it's interesting you say that. I had a conversation at the end of the game with Marc-Andre Deloria, who does the French article, and he hadn't really seen our team this season. So just talking to him, he was asking me kind of how the team is. Obviously, we have some experience, as we were talking before, Mo, with myself, Eddie Lee, Kevin Marcel, Etienne Valancourt. But there are also a lot of first-year guys on the team, or guys with very little experience. So we're trying to help these guys, coach them up a little bit. We had Frank K. Frank K. now suffered an Achilles injury in week 2, so he's pretty much gone for the year. But again, we're just trying to coach these guys up. We're having a lot of fun. Kevin Marcel, I believe this is his first extended opportunity.
Zoo player in the higher divisions, yeah.
Exactly. As a receiver, as a DB, even on the Smoking Axolots in Div 6 last year. But this is his first time getting extended minutes at quarterback. So I find he's kind of learning as he goes, along with a lot of the other young guys. But to talk about the victory, we stunk it up, at least the first half offensively. The first 2 possessions, I think, one ended in a pick, the other ended in a 4-and-out. I believe the first 3 possessions, rather. We scored finally at the end of the first half, so we were down 12-6. But we managed to get some stops in the second half. We held the West DeLille squad 27 points. We started moving the ball efficiently, picking up first downs and extending drives. We managed to keep their defense. There were 7 guys for that game. We managed to keep their defense on the field a lot. So they were a little bit gassed, I guess you could say, at the end of the game. How that game actually ended was we scored to make it 2019 with 4 plays left. So they got the ball, with 3 plays left. So first down, they went incomplete. Second down, they had tossed up a pass. Alexander Lille tossed up a pass, and our DB, Lucas Cashua, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but he went for the interception instead of just batting the ball down. So he tipped it into receiver's hand. Joseph had ran it down to the 1-yard line. He was deflagged by Eddie. So they got pretty much the last play of the game from the 1-yard line. Quarterback threw a pass, went off of the receiver's hand, and that was the end of the game. So basically, like I was saying before, a roller coaster of emotions in the final minute or 2 of that one. But again, we came on with the victory. But talking about the West DeLille squad, I mean, they're a talented team, led by Michael Kazaka, as I was saying before. Last winter, with part of my swag, he was a phenomenal player.
Yeah,
both sides of the ball, offense and defense. He was making plays. I know Brad Evans was disappointed to lose him, but again, he wanted to start his own team with his brother Matthew. And I mean, so far this season, they're 2-1. We get in the first L, but they're definitely going to be a team who is filled with predominantly rookies, with the exception of Mike Kazaka and Matthew Turcotte. They're a team I think is only going to get better as the season goes on, and those rookie guys get more experience.
Well, also, let's not forget, they're now 1-1 in games decided by 1 point. They won 19-18 week 1 against Moss City, and they lose to you guys by 1. So they could easily be 3-0. We're talking about them in our topic a little bit later on here. But one thing, Chapman, look up Striking Samurais, the background of this name here, and what it means. Thank you. Next game that we look at in this matchup of Week 3 battles, what caught your attention?
I got to say, one of the games that caught my attention was the prime time and Dirty Mike and the boys game. That's
a very good, powerful team, Dirty Mike.
Yeah, definitely, led by Captain Jordan Allard and my teammate in Division C. They have a great defense. Led by Allard, there's guys Derek Fontana and Jonathan McQueen. Tyler Doucette, they definitely come to play. And our defense basically bailed them out of this game. There's another game, just like ours, where actually both teams, Primetime and Dirty Mike and the boys, started off weak offensively in the first half. Dirty Mike and the boys led 7-6. Not exactly a barn burner, if you will. But both teams turned up in the second half, scoring 2 touchdowns each. But basically what happened in that game is Dirty Mike and the boys, they got to stop. They were able to stop prime time, and they got the ball back with 5 plays left. Dirty Mike and the boys marched down the field, and they got a winning touchdown by the aforementioned John McQueen with on a 4th and 6. Last play of the game, they scored a winning TD. So
not only that, though, extra point attempts. You look at the fact that you win by 1, and for prime time, I mean, like you score 3 touchdowns, you don't get at least 1 extra point to perhaps tie the game at minimum. And you can look at that as being maybe a difference in why they lost this game and not having the W in their back pocket moving towards week 4.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. As I say all the time on the podcast here in my articles, extra points are huge.
Yeah.
And that's a prime example right there. Same thing going back to my game with Striking Samurais against the West Little squad. I think we were 2 for 3 on extra points, and they, I believe, got 1. So, I mean, again, extra points, guys, whether it's 1 or whether it's 2, those are huge. And Dirty Mike and the boys, they have the conversion to thank for getting that W.
One game that caught my attention, Brent, actually was a game I score kept on Tuesday night in Brossard was Los Avocados against Les Choix Présidents. Man, it was bad. It was, and look, not to belittle a team in Division E because, of course, it is Division E, but you look at the fact that for the president's choice, whether it is Gab Ballon Lapointe at quarterback, he's been at this position for now 2 seasons or 2 years of FPF. Yeah. And it was bad. It was ugly. And, you know, for Josh Vasquez, this wasn't a great game himself here. I think for Los Avocados, and we'll talk about them later on in the show, they should be thanking the FPF gods. They got away with a victory over an anemic team like what they went through against Les Choix Présidents on Tuesday. Their defense played very well. I thought they were fantastic. Nolan was very good. Guidon was very good. You look at Ritier Campo. He had a fantastic game in the pass deflection department as well. But I just felt that their defense was dominant and put them in position to score points here. One thing that I worry about for Los Avocados is that they're too dependent on Thomas Zorco, who's a great player who plays in higher divisions. They got to figure out, and they did somewhat, speaking with Samuel Damor, who had 2 catches for 63 yards here. But they got to figure out how to get more of a balanced attack and not be too dependent on Zorco, who plays as a left wideout in their offense. Because if you go to him 1 too often, it could cost them if they can't get that rapport with other players on the field.
And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, they do rely on Zorco. He's the best player on the team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And Samuel Damor is a guy who I like, who I mentioned, I believe, in the Week 1 podcast. He stepped up in the playoffs, coming up with some big receptions, and he's a guy who's new to the game of football, but he has a lot of potential. He has size, and he has speed factor. But other than those 2 guys, I mean, what you're saying, Mo, it rings true. There's Matthew Guindon and Mathieu Nolan. They have 3 catches in between them, and after that,
they've had an easy schedule, though.
And that's going to be my next point. That's going to be my next point, because who have they beaten? The Montreal Raiders.
And they've not been good, the Raiders.
Yeah,
Oakland Raiders are good, but the Montreal Raiders are not good.
And Oakland Raiders have won a playoff game in a long time.
When's the last time you guys made the playoffs?
All right, at least we made it to the Super Bowl.
You guys are next. Anyway.
Yeah, but again, so they had the Montreal, Oakland Raiders, if you will. DGC, who, I mean, they made their debut last winter. Their team was
and they beat 4th and 20.
But but they're not there yet, exactly. I mean, it's a really easy schedule for Los Avocados. I mean, we're going to break that down later, as you mentioned, Mo. But they're 3-0, but they haven't really beaten anybody good. But again, 3-0 is 3-0. You can only beat who's on your schedule.
Yeah, but Brent, man, I just find, and again, it's a point I've emphasized with lower divisions, and I told you this before in years past, that obviously you cannot dictate who you play. It's what you're given, essentially, right? But it goes back to having a weighted schedule. Do you go to a bigger format of a playoff tournament and you reward teams that may have gotten better victories, quality of wins, over, say, Los Avocados that might end up having maybe a 9-1 record, but the opponent's win-loss could end up being like 18 and who knows, 82 for all we know.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I can look at the schedule right now and I can tell you they're going to have 2 losses for sure. Greendale Human Beings and Smoking Ocelots, but all the other games, pretty much toss-ups.
Anyway, it is what it is. Finally, your last game that caught your attention, Brent.
I want to say, just for the reps, a huge bounce-back win over Yamajo. Is that how we're still pronouncing it?
Yes, or as Justin Blanchard, who score kept this game, Yamajo.
Yamajo? But no, we had a specific.
Can you look that up for us,
I'm
please?
going to get it on
Good man.
on
Can you look it up for us on AskJeeves.com? Is it Yamajo or Yamajo? Or
Well, that's what we did last week, man.
You're
You
going to
gotta
find out,
tune
Mo.
in,
It's going to
brother.
be awesome. Hold on.
Thanks a lot. Riveting stuff here on the Division E podcast.
Yeah, but so getting back to my point, I mean, they had a bounce back when they beat, however Chapman wants to pronounce it, 30-7. This is coming off of a buck kicking they received in week 2 versus part of my swag where they lost 26. Pardon me, I'm looking at the wrong score here. I apologize. On that one, so they had lost the week before to Dirty Mike and the boys, rather 19-7. So for the Revs, who are a veteran team, we've seen different versions of them over the years. Wax on, wax off. Winning 30-7 is pretty good.
Station.
Yamayo Station, exactly. There you go. Or Yamayo, if you will. There you
Yamayo.
That's apparently Dutch.
go. So
I'm going to go with the Montana pronunciation and call him Yamajo.
that's how I was saying it. Week one. Anyways, whatever.
Yamajo Station.
There you go. So just for the Revs, again, it's a bounce back win. They got a huge performance out of Jared Buck. 5 TDs, and on the ground as well, 4 carries for 51 yards. This is the type of performance I expected out of a veteran team. I mean, they have guys like Alex Gray, Justin Santillo, Kevin St. Pierre, Justin Ochinero.
Yeah, but these are guys that have experience. They should roll through teams.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Speaking to my point, 'cause, I mean, they got their butts kicked last week against Dirty Mike and the boys. Yes, Dirty Mike and the boys are a good team, but it wasn't even close. They were horrible in week 2. Now, okay, they came back against a weaker team led by Terrence Dobson, who I was surprised who only went 6 of 21, 2 INTs.
But in defense of him, I watched him play his first game. He's coming off a pretty bad Achilles injury from 2 years ago. He isn't a natural quarterback. Anton Sack is what it was, right, for game changers in a higher division. I think for Terrence Dobson, it's going to take him a while to get used to playing that quarterback position. He's got players to work with, but it's a matter of him developing that repetitions of understanding the position as well enough to his first year. And I think maybe next year, if they come back as this core group in, say, Division 5B or 5A, whatever it is, they could be much more effective. But you can look at his ascension right now. It's not happening yet, and you can see the frustration because he thinks that, man, I should be better than where I am. But you're going up against a very sound defense, as it was on Tuesday with the Just for the Reps. Very tough to beat a team like that if you're going to go pass for pass in that matchup.
No, definitely. I mean, going head-to-head, it shouldn't be close. I just expected a little bit more because, again, Terrence Dobson is coming off of an injury, a couple years removed from an injury. But there are some players on the team who you mentioned, Antoine Sakic, Valentin Skripnik. So there are some talented players. But, again, just for the Reps, this is a game they need to win. And they should have won, and they did. And we'll have to see where they go going forward. I mean, let's see how they can rebound, if they can build any momentum off of this, because they have a big game coming up against I have to imagine pissed off West DeLille squad this Sunday in Broussard.
Well, one guy to keep an eye out for Yamajo or Yamaho. What are we going again here?
Hold on. I'll choose a different one.
Just say it to you.
Mo, you're fired.
Hey, listen, I'm the backup here. I'm the backup here. What's the
Yamajo Station.
Thank you. The guy to watch out for is DVD Joseph, who had 1 catch for 40 yards, 1 TD. He plays both ways. I like his style of play. I think he could definitely be maybe a long-term project or a long-term player for this roster. And once he figures out the game, look out. He's going to have perhaps a flourishing career in the FPF ranks for years to come here. Anyway, so that's the week that was. Yep. Let's talk about the present moment and where we stand in terms of teams at 2-1, buying or selling teams at 2-1 here. So the list of teams which we'll go through and the schedule of key games that they have lined up. Just for Reps, Your Striking Samurais, WDS, Homo Sapiens, One Speed Power, Smoking A's, PMS. We will go through team by team here quickly. Just for Reps, some of the key games they have on their schedule moving forward. PMS, One Speed Power, and Spartans, provided that they're a healthy Spartans team here. Are you buying or selling just for the Reps?
It's a good question.
You can hold too if you want to.
No, I hear you. I gotta say, for now, I think I'm gonna buy them because again, they're taking on, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, the West DeLille squad. It's 2-1. As you mentioned, we gave them their first loss over the weekend. But just for the Reps, they're a better team. At least on paper, they're a better team than the West DeLille squad. So I think the West, just for Reps, should get the W. After that, they have the pension plan. You know what I even say? My Striking Samurais team, yeah, we have some playmakers, but if you look at the roster from top to bottom, just for the Reps, again, on paper, are the better team. So I think we're definitely going to give them a test. But I think the real test is going to come week 7 against, as you mentioned, part of my swag. We're going to see if they're in the elite teams. So right now I'll buy it a bit because of the strength and schedule or weakness of the schedule over the next couple of games.
Well, remember, when they play PMS, that could very well be for a playoff spot, maybe a top 2 seed maybe, or even a wild card spot, and that can really alter the playoff diagram of who will play who. And I think for Just for Reps and where they're at, as we mentioned before, this is a team that has a lot of experience, and I think that will pay off for them. So I'm going to buy Just for Reps. Give me a lot of stock in them right now. I'm going to buy them because I believe they will be a solid contender moving forward. All right, you're striking Samurais. Some key games to look at in terms of who you guys will face. You got Little Giants, stand off the year, TPP, Spartans to name. At 2-1, Brent Bakken, let's put on your objective hat as opposed to your samurai goggles. Would you buy or sell your stock, or should we have our boy Chapman decide on the fate of buying or selling your stock?
You know what? I as unbiased as I can be. I don't want to be perceived as biased, so I will pass the ball or hand off the rock, if you will, to Chapman.
Okay, so Chapman, if you look at the striking Samurais, their schedule, they will play the Spartans, TPP, Little Giants during the season. At 2-1, are you buying or selling this team moving forward?
I'm going to buy them. But
surprise.
Not for any statistical reasons.
too.
I looked up Striking Samurai
Yes.
early on Wikipedia. And so
what is the background on Striking Samurai?
There's a Japanese saying called kiritsute gomen, which means
I'm
literally
impressed.
authorization to cut and leave.
I'm impressed.
The body of the victim is an old Japanese expression dating back to the feudal era, right to strike, right of a samurai to kill commoners for perceived affronts. Samurai had the right to strike with a sword at anyone of a lower class who compromised their honor.
So you're saying
Now, I believe all 3 of those teams are of lower class, and
Yes.
they will strike them.
With a vengeance, or just strike them?
so
No, for your own honor.
Okay.
So you're buying them.
Striking samurais are noble.
Okay.
So after the history on the Striking Samurai background, you're buying the Striking
Yes.
Samurais. Okay. So, all right, Brent, I want you to further elaborate why your team should be bought in terms of stock on the TSX.
Okay, I gotta say again, looking at our schedule, because let's be honest, that factors into the equation. We have Face Jazz. Face Jazz team, they got some talent. I think it's a team we should still beat, regardless of who's on their roster and who's not. The Spartans, I mean, let's be honest, we're facing the Spartans at a perfect time. Alex Bissett's going to be gone with injury.
So why don't you guys play 5-on-5 football?
No, we're nice, but not that nice. So again,
Classy.
Yeah, I'm a classy individual, my friend. I like the matchups for us in that department. We have some size along with speed. Obviously, Eddie Lee back on defense is a huge addition to the squad. Kevin Marcel, I talked about him as a quarterback, but as a DB, he's a monster out there. So I like the matchup game for us against the Spartans. I think we could come under there with a W. And just looking forward, I mean, Just for Reps is going to be a challenge. The pension plan, I think that's the team will be.
The President's Choice and Expendables, that should be 2 wins for you right there.
Yeah, I'm hoping to play some defense against Lestrade the President.
That's a problem if you play some
President's
defense.
Choice. Hey, I've actually played defense the last 2 weeks in a row.
Mop up duty?
Keep it calm, my friend. Keep it calm. Some solid tackling by yours truly. But yeah,
On the sidelines?
the Expendables is better than Mo being on the bench in real football. But hey. And then, Little Giants to close out the season, that's going to be a tough one. But, I mean, again, the end of the season is like 7 weeks from now, so we'll see what happens.
I'm going to hold on you guys.
Okay.
I want to see how the next 2 weeks unfold, and then, of course, you have a bigger gauntlet of teams coming up in the the middle to last part of the season.
Fair enough.
And I will hold off on you guys right now. By the way, Chapman, if you had to pick a football player, you have 1 pick left on your Division H team. Would you pick Peasy or Brent Bakken to play defense?
Definitely not Mo
linebacker?
Khan, I'll tell you that.
I'm asking Peasy or Brent Bakken
I can't believe this. I'm going to
on
have
your
to go
Division
cheese.
H team.
Really?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's enough.
Really?
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Really?
Brent, he uses his mind.
Thank you.
I know he
Thank
looks
you.
I'll be
athletic
good
and
at
he's
Fine.
I'll
old.
forget I didn't hear that.
That's
Use my
fine.
mind,
Thank
my
you.
friend.
Thank you.
I used to sideline as my
Thank
friend.
you.
How dare you?
Thank you. Next team, WDS.
I quit.
That's fine. You can leave right now. The garage door's open. You can go through. WDS.
Just push the button.
You got Just for the Reps. You got HBH, Spartans. Those are some key games that they have lined up here. We spoke about them before, how you believe they'll be pissed off moving forward. Do you buy or sell WDS moving forward?
I got to say, to be honest, I think I'm selling WDS. They're a good team, but I saw a lot of holes. I mean, playmaking wise, besides the aforementioned Michael Kazaka, even Joseph had for a little bit, they don't have that many playmaking guys. The guys who could really come up with a play when it's really, really needed, when the game's on the line, as it was Sunday night. So I'm going to sell on those guys.
Okay, fair enough then. We'll have to go through this segment a little bit quickly here. Homo sapiens, you got GHB, Little Giants, Spartans, Dirty Mike. They have a very tough schedule. 4 out of the last 6 games, or last 7 games, pardon me, very tough. A 2-1, Brent. I'm going to sell these guys because that schedule, if they can come away 3-1, wow, I'll give them full props. But if they can go at minimum 2-2, they'll be okay. But anything less than that could be serious problems for this team.
Yeah, I'm going to sell them just because of the schedule, like you're talking about, Mokes. I mean, TBA, the Spartans, Little Giants, Green Day Human Beings. For a veteran squad with guys like GM Caceres, Francois Delorier, and Hod, I mean, they have talent on that team and experience on that team, but I think that schedule is just too brutal for them.
One Speed Power, a team we know very well. William Power, no pun intended, on the team. PZ Del Rizzi. Yamaho, we have yet to determine what name we'll go with. PMS, Dirty Mike. So they have a relatively tricky 3 games out of the remaining 6 left in their schedule. Are you buying or selling this team?
It all depends on which P shows up at quarterback. If it's P's who's...
Look at his stats last week, man. 14-22 for 200 yards, man. He's looking solid right now. Leading Division E in passing.
It was against Face Jazz team when they gave up 30 points, too. That really hasn't scored that much this season. But
you don't want to ask Chapman who you pick a quarterback, you or him. Oh, sorry, you or Peasy.
We all know it's me. You know what? I'm going to buy them because they have a lot of veteran experience on that team. But again, it comes down to which P shows up. If it's the P's who can hit the deep ball here and there and make teams pay for playing up close to the line of scrimmage against their offense, then I'll pick them any day of the week. But if it's the P's who struggles to connect on the deep ball and has to throw in the coverage or misses some open receivers occasionally, I don't know. But out of respect and out of the fact that they have a veteran team with a lot of playmakers, I'm going to buy it 1 Speed Power for now.
All right, Smoking A's, some key games. HBH, very surprised at 3-0. Super Troopers, PMS, GHB, again, a very tough 4 games that they have left out of 6. I'm going to sell Smoking A's. I know they've always surprised teams under the radar in the last couple of years. I got to sell them. What do you do, Brent?
Yeah, the schedule is brutal. I'm going to pick them. I'm going to buy them, I should say, pardon me, just because they're pedigree. They made the spring championship last season. They're returning a pretty veteran team, and obviously the addition last winter of the playmaker, Rory Semerjian, is huge on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to buy them because I think they're a team that when their backs are against the wall, that's when they come out and play their best.
Right. PMS, they got Dirty Mike, HBH, Smoking A's. Again, a very tricky schedule. Brad Evans, of course, this PMS team has a lot of experience playing the lower divisions, but they always come up short in the playoffs here. I'm going to hold off. I might even sell them because I'm not too trustworthy of this team moving forward.
You know, if it was the old Brad Evans team, where, no offense to Brad, if he was the quarterback, I'd be selling too. But again, Avery Lala, who's come in and been dominant.
Up and coming.
Yeah, he was dominant in the winter season, and he's picked up where he left off so far in 2 games played, 8 TDs, and only 1 interception, averaging almost 10 yards a pass. I'm going to buy the stock of part of my swag because they do have playmakers, and his Avery Lala playing quarterback gives the option of Jesse Rasheen playing wide receiver, and he has done some damage there as well. So I'm going to buy part of my swag stock.
Let's go to the last 3-0 teams left. We have TBA, HBH, GHB, Los Avocados, Dirty Mike, and Little Giants. These are the last remaining bunch here. That's 6 teams that could very well go undefeated. Probably not, because a lot of these teams will play each other in the next few weeks here. In your mind, Brent, yes or no, are these the prohibitive favorites moving forward with about 7 games left?
No, not all of them.
Or 6 games left?
No, not all of them, to be honest. Greendale Human Beings, I mean, I've put every week in my Elite 8. They're the number 1 team, and for good reason. I mean, they're coming off a Division 6 championship, and let's be honest, they are the best team in Division E. So I will buy their stock. I will buy their chances to make a return trip to the finals this season, for sure.
So in that case, then, are they the best 3-0 team then?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Hands down. They're the best team. Hands down.
So, do you believe they can go undefeated, though? If they're the best team...
If they're the best team, obviously they should go undefeated. I got to say, just looking at their schedule right now, they have a big matchup coming up this coming Tuesday against TB. I think actually the winner of that game, that could be a finals preview, by the way, guys. So if you're not playing, try to come out and see that.
Either that or the NBA Finals. Decide what you want to do.
Look,
the Knicks aren't playing, so you can go show up. Don't worry about it.
Sure, where the Bulls go?
Don't worry. The Bulls went to the playoffs.
NBA Finals between games 5 and 7. You should watch that. to answer your question, TBA against Green Day Human Beings, that's going to be a huge game. But can they go undefeated? I think if they knock off TBA, they definitely stand a really good chance of going undefeated, because after that, the hardest teams are the Smoking Ocelots, Los Avocados, we'll get to in a second, and then the Spartans. I think they're definitely capable of beating all three of those teams.
All right, so the team right now that could fall from the pack of 3-0s, that great 3-0 start, I think the Hot Boys Hotline are a bunch of overrated, fluky football players, minus Alex Dakula. I think they'll fall behind and end up fighting for a wild card spot for the last 6 weeks of the season.
I'm with you on that, actually. I'm tied with that one for teams that could fall off between Los Avocados and the Hot Boys Hotline. Obviously, Eagles doing this thing, and I'm a fan of Tom Gatehouse, Vadim Chernak.
He's going to choke, don't worry.
Yeah, he usually does. I feel bad,
it's bound
to
happen.
He usually does. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule. They haven't beaten anybody impressive. The Rackins, they barely got by Face Jazz, and they beat the Expendables in week 1. They haven't beaten anybody impressive by any stretch of the imagination. So I think they're going to fall off. And we talked about Los Avocados before.
Yeah.
They haven't beaten anybody either. They have better players on their roster, but they haven't beaten anybody impressive either.
The one team no one wants to face out of the pack right now, like moving forward, is there one team right now, Brent, without explanation?
I say TBA, to be honest, man. Okay. You know what, actually? I'm torn on this one. I want to say TBA, but also Dirty Mike and the boys. I mentioned with their defense, led by Jordan Aller, but their offense is capable of putting up good numbers, too. They got Jared Gallant, who's actually brothers, I found out today, with Jordan Allard. He's making plays. He played an FPF junior under Pease. Pease coached him on the Bulldogs last winter. So he's coming. He's made some plays. They have a lot of playmakers at every position, and Jordan Allard is getting comfortable each and every game he plays at quarterback. So I think with them, and obviously we're going over to TBA, Clay Sakara, I mean, he's been the best-kept secret going into the season in Division E, playing for the University of Toronto Varsity Blues. On the backup quarterbacks, him and his connection with Eric Vosco has been phenomenal so far this year.
All right, so one team answer here. The team that you believe will be upset in the first round of the playoffs is who? One team. No explanation. As to one team.
Outline.
Okay, fair enough then. Yes, no, will we see one or two teams in the finals from this group of undefeateds right now?
2 for sure.
Okay, all right, that's all. That's all right. I won't put you on the spot here. And hey, you're wrong, pal. You're wrong about us. All right, quickly, right now, quarterback of the year is who in your mind? The leading horse. The leading horse right now is who?
I want to say Danny Aylward.
Okay.
From the Green Day Human Beings.
Yeah, okay.
He can beat you short. He can beat you deep. He can beat you with his legs. And he's cerebral. He's extremely smart.
All right, it is now time for
Games of the Week.
All right, okay. PZ will give us whatever your name is, Chapman.
Horrible.
Will give us a random point spread, and we go through the games. We pick one team, no explanation. Here we go. Game number 1.
Well, Mo, you're going a little quick for me here.
Yeah,
so,
you bought some time there, pal.
Yeah, I got to buy some time, actually.
Yes.
So for the first game, we have Here for the Beer versus Little Giants. Little Giants are 16.5 point favorites.
Give me the Giants.
Yeah, Giants for sure.
And our next game, we have Striking Samurais versus Face Jazz. Striking Samurais are 2.5 point favorites.
Jazz.
I say not to spite me. No, I'm gonna go with the home team on that one. Striking Samurais, pardon me. We're gonna win by a touchdown.
Hot Boys Hotline versus Smoking Axolots. Smoking Axles are 19.5 point favorites.
Smoking A's.
Smoking A's. I don't know about that spread, but Smoking A's.
Like I'm randomly generating them. There's
Yes. Las Vegas.
there's no logic behind this.
Next game.
Next game is Dirty Mike and the Boys versus Pardon My Swag. Dirty Mike and the Boys are 1.5 point favorites.
Dirty Mike.
Ooh, part of my swag with the upset.
Dirty Mike.
Next game is the Expendables versus Montreal Raiders.
Oh, my God.
The Expendables are 8.5 point favorites.
Oh, my God. Give me the Expendables to win.
Can we take a bye week or no?
No buys. You got to choose.
You know what? Based off of their amazing uniforms and the heart they have, Montreal Raiders. Why not?
The Pension Plan versus DGC. DGC are 18.5 point favorites.
DGC.
Yeah.
Just for the Reps versus West Delo Squad. Just for the Reps are 16.5 point favorites. This generator sucks.
WDS.
Just for the reps.
One Speed Power versus Yamajo Station. Yamajo Station are 12.5 point favorites.
One speed.
One speed with the upset.
Super Troopers versus Homo Sapiens. Super Troopers are 5.5 point favorites.
I'll go Troopers.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Troopers depending on who they roll at quarterback, but regardless, the Troopers are still.
4th and 20 versus Primetime. 4th and 20 are 9.5 point favorites.
Prime time.
Yeah, prime time. Yeah.
Sons of Mitches versus Friday Night Tykes. Sons of Mitches are 7.5 point favorites.
I think SOM.
I played against both teams. I like Friday Night Tykes. The quarterback is able to make plays with his arm, obviously, with his feet. I'm talking about Tim Horner. I'm going to go with Friday Night Tykes in the upset.
Rakins versus Moss City. Rakins
Is
are...
it raccoons?
Nah,
I'm calling them
I thought it was
Rakins from
Nash.
now
Okay,
on.
Rakins. All right, go. Moss City. What's the spread on this game here?
Rakins are 2.5 point favorites.
Moss City.
I want to go with the Rakins just because we talked about before we went on the air. Cephas Cassette, one of their receivers, going down for an injury. It looks like he's not going to be back anytime soon. So if the Rakins or the Raccoons are going to get their first victory this season or a victory this season, I think now's the time.
Spartans versus Le Choix du Président. Spartans are 9.5 point favorites.
Spartans.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Spartans, yeah. Spartans for sure.
We are Farmers, versus Lost Avocados. Farmers are 8.5 point favorites.
Farmers.
I'm tempted to go with the Farmers, actually. Los Avocados.
And in our last game, we have the Greendale Human Beings versus TBA. Greendale Human Beings are 8.5 point favorites.
Greendale.
And this is the game of the week.
It is the game of the week.
Yeah. Did I get that good? Was that
No,
all
no,
right?
it's awful.
More oomph, Brent.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm going to ride the TBA bandwagon in this one and say they pull off the massive upset.
I like this. After you ragged on them all season for not having an actual name.
Hey, but I called them on the article
Yeah.
about not having a name, but then I said
that's
it was a
showing,
smooth move. I said afterwards it was a smooth move, my
That's
friend.
showing
Don't worry,
fine
guys.
journalism, taking it by the head over, taking the snake by the head. And
I do what I can, my
chopping
friend.
off.
I do what I
Yes.
can.
That's Time Magazine-esque right there, TBA. All right, what did you learn in today's episode?
I learned that we don't need that guy named Pease or Steph Fens. I think maybe they're together. They could be together. It's a strong possibility.
Perhaps. Maybe do their own podcast right now in Division E. Chapman, what did you learn today?
I should probably check my settings before starting the stream.
I learned that if I was Eagle, I would chew you out if I was Eagle. That's what I learned today.
But he's not here, so...
He's not here. He won't be here tomorrow either.
Exactly.
All right, Peasy will be back in this chair next week with Brent Bach and maybe Stefan Fence as well. Chapman will be back over there next week. Brent, as always, a great job by you.
Thanks, sir.
And week 4, and a reminder, guys, we're now in week 4. There's 6 games left. Remember, you need 5 to be eligible for playoffs, so I advise those who are going to add players for the playoff run to start having them play now. Give yourself space to work with because you know how it is. At the end of the year, you're going to say, well, my guy played 5, and in reality, he played 2 games. So make sure you get the 5 played because we're almost at the halfway point of the season, and it's important that you get a full roster than having 5 guys and getting their butts kicked like Striking Samurais will in the playoffs. Without further ado, Good night, New York Knicks.